Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Oddbud School of Mediumship YouTube. I am Danielle, better known as Danielle The Happy Medium. You should be getting your notifications from YouTube probably around and about now, within the next couple of minutes. For those who don't know me, like I say, I am Danielle. It's good to be back. I've missed you all. It's been a couple of weeks since I was here talking about mediumship development, all things spiritual, and hopefully this evening some of you will come along with your questions. I can talk to you about them types of things, and hopefully we can get some sort of additional information. You can ask me anything you want, but keeping it clean, of course, and all them types of things. So I'm very, very excited, like I say, to be here. It's been such a long time. Hello, Timothy, nice to have you with me. I hope you got lots of questions. I'm sure you were on my last stream and you had loads for me. Samantha's already said good evening, so good evening to Samantha. I hope you're well, and I hope you're keeping okay. I'm going to talk a bit about not so much the boring stuff, but the bits and pieces that I do have available in regards to development, mediumistic development, that is. So yes, if you haven't already been to my website, check it out, which is www.theoddbudschoolofmediumship.com. Tess is in. Hello, Tess. I hope you're well. Where you'll find everything for the development side of mediumistic abilities and also psychic ability. I do a little bit of both. We have our first course of the year at my new school here in the northeast of England. First of its kind, development in the mediumistic parameters and also the psychic ability parameters, which, honest to God, I've got to be very honest, I'm really, really proud of that. I've got to be honest. The Spirit will continue to inspire me each and every day with that. So we have a couple of spaces left. So if you're interested in that and coming along and doing a 5-day residential, certainly by all means, certainly do come along and get involved in that one. The other stuff is obviously online in Zoom. There is a couple of breaks. There is some travel coming in for me over the next couple of months. So I'm very, very excited to be back out traveling. I've got to be honest, it's a big passion of mine, traveling. For anybody who knows me well, they will know that I'm very much into that type of thing. What else can I tell you about? If you're not already, thank you very much. I'm very excited, actually. I can't wait. There's many things that excite me, but this is certainly one of them. The floor is now open for you to bring your questions to me. Obviously, as I say, and I always say this to you, is, it's only through my perception of my reality. Not everything I say everybody will agree with. I'm okay with that. I understand that everybody's going to have their point of view and everybody's going to sort of want to say what they want to say. So it's entirely, taken in your perception of your reality. If it doesn't resonate, dump it, move on to the next one. If you'd like to share this stream out to, maybe your Facebook or in your groups, give it a likes up. It certainly helps me with them types of things. And then I can certainly get into answering your questions. Danielle, my love, how am I? Do you know, Denise, and this is the God's honest truth, I was on Facebook. If you're not following us on the Facebook platform, certainly find us there, the Oddbud School of Mediumship and Danielle The Happy Medium. I was over there, I think, a fortnight ago, doing a live stream very similar to what I do here on YouTube. And honestly, Denise, I'm in a really, really banging place. Like, I gotta be honest. I'm in a really strong position. I'm a lot more content. I'm really, really happy with where I am. The development's really busy. Classes have got waiting lists on them. Most of them are busy all of the time. I couldn't ask for anything more. I'm content in myself. I'm happy in Danielle, which I think is a really good thing. I think because sometimes, you can stand there and say you're busy and you're doing this and you're doing that, but you're not really content in yourself. But I'm really content and I'm really happy with who I am and where, where I am, and I'm happy with the progression and the growth, not only professionally, but also personally. I've done loads. I talk to my students all the time, and I tell probably the public and all. I've done massive amounts of inner work, and if you'd spoken to me like 3 years ago, I was like, what's that? I didn't know what that is, inner work. But I've done massive amounts of inner work, and I've learned an awful lot about like Danielle, and lots of different things, which is really give us like a tool bag, if this makes sense, for like this world as well as the spiritual aspect of me, which I'm incredibly humbled with the woman that I've become because of that, which I think is a great attribute to myself. So I'm over the moon actually, and I'm very grateful that you asked me. So I hope you're well yourself, and I hope you're keeping well, Denise. Let me know. Wendy's in. Hello, Wendy, darling. I hope you're well. Tessa's saying you mentioned mirroring briefly in class last week. Yep. I'd love to hear the explanation if you don't mind again. Right, tell us what you mean, because I talk about that much in the classes, right? I don't know what was it in connection with, because I'm always talking about something in them classes. So give us a little more to refresh my memory, because honestly I run about 10 classes and some of them's on total different time frames. In fact, I run more than that, but they're just the ones that I remember off the top of my head. Hello, Vicky, I need to see you, and I'm going to message you when I'm finished on here. I'll inbox you because I need to talk to you. So make sure you're available in a couple of hours. I need to chat with you and let me know. I've got Tati anyway, but that's that. So yeah, let me know what it was, and then I can certainly take a look at that test and refresh my brain. All right, because my brain's always got stuff in it at the minute. There's just stuff everywhere, I've got to be honest. But yeah, Irene's in. Good evening, Irene. A long time no see. I hope you are well and you're keeping okay, and your family's doing well also, because it's always a pleasure to have you in. I'm just waiting for Tess. If anybody else has got their questions, the floor is now open for you to sort of talk about things that you want to talk. Misty Honey's in, saying, hiya, Danielle. I'm glad you're well. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm very grateful to you for, asking that. I hope you're well yourself, and I hope you're keeping okay, and, hope the development and things going very, very well. No bother, says Vicky. Thank you very much. I look forward to chatting with you. It's been a while, but we'll catch up. Tessa saying it was a general explanation of what mirroring is, and when you think of people and they turn up, it got me curious. As in spiritually, or as in personal development? As in, so mirroring as in personal development, or is it in regards to spiritual development? So if you're talking mediumistic development, well, let's go with the personal development. So mirroring is basically where you have two people who are doing exactly the same thing. So for example, if you're not happy with somebody and you're ignoring them, they'll ignore you, so they become like a mirror. So for example, right, I get it, it's come to us, right? So what we say when we have somebody in the personal development, so for example, let's take social media for example. What happens is that we can't recognize something in somebody unless it's already within us. So what I mean by that is so if you have say for example abandonment issues or codependency issues, or that person is like they have sort of narcissistic traits, right? You can't recognize a narcissistic unless you have narcissistic traits in you, because you can't see something in somebody unless it's already available to you. If you see gratefulness, then you are a grateful person. You have gratefulness within you. If you recognize kindness in another person, then it means that there's kindness within you. This is what we call mirroring effects of personality. So personalities reflect. Again, if you are having an argument with somebody and that person's ignoring you, you will ignore them, because it's a mirroring effect. It's not a very good mirroring effect, but it is a mirroring effect all in the same. So that's what it means. Basically, you can't recognize a flaw in somebody unless that flaw is within you. So if somebody was to say to me, oh, well, you're a know-it-all, Danielle, that would tell me that that person is a know-it-all. They recognize that within them. If somebody says you're opinionated, it means that they have an opinionated nature, or are quite opinionated in the things that they do. We cannot, because energy is vibration. What humans don't realize is oh, I've got it. Every time I come on here, I get an itchy nose. What you have to understand is that we are working with frequencies. So we're working even in this conscious world. we're working with an energy frequency. Every human is what we call a transmitter. So you're transmitting beep, 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 beep all of the time, all of the time. So what happens is that you are constantly reading energy, whether you recognize it or not. And therefore, when we start and look at humans from the aspect of an energy frequency, more than the physical body or the beauty or the personality, we recognize them traits within them through the energy frequency. So what I always say to people is don't look at what people are, don't look at what people are like prettying up or doing this or doing that. Look at the energy frequency, look at what they're transmitting, look at what people are writing, because 9 times out of 10 what people are writing is actually what's going on inside of here. So that's what I mean by mirroring. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Tess. Wendy's asking, yes, Wendy darling, how is a medium's power influenced when doing a mediumistic circle reading versus a private sitting? So medium circles, the thing with circles is, and this is something, I run circles myself, more for my students than I do for the general public. I did used to run a lot for the general public at one time, but I've sort of stepped back from that now, and I do more for just my students. The thing with circles is we have to understand is every medium's in what I call a different alternation of their awarenesses in regards to their development. So some of them are working very much with the spirit world. Some people are still working on the psychic parameter. Some people are flipping and flopping between what I call psychic versus mediumistic. So circles always have this potential for psychic work and mediumistic work. Basically, circles allow just about anything unless there's some sort of set title to it, for example. So a title would be evidential mediumship, that's it, or psychic work, and that would be it. So circles have lots of different parameters in it. When we're doing a private sitting, it's again the same. But what with a private sitting is a good medium will do, they'll either do evidential mediumship or they'll do the psychic private sitting, or they may do one and the other. Now, for me, I used to do both. I used to do half mediumistic, half psychic. And then I went completely to evidential, and I don't do any psychic work now in regards to, private sittings, because for me, it was just a natural progression of my mediumship. So for me, circles allow anything. Private sittings, there's always a title, the same as probably with a circle, but if there's no title to the circle, then anything's possible. The issue with this is that if you is the instrument who's on the other side of the receiving isn't aware that medium's working psychically, they can and will be interfering or will be touching upon the oracle field. And for me, that's not really my cup of tea, like, I've got to be honest, you know what I mean? But, and it's about discipline of the mind, which is discipline of the energy, so if you aren't very disciplined, and it means your energy is not very disciplined. So for me, circles are anything goes unless I've got a title to them. Mediumistic, readings, it's either psychic or mediumistic. I'd always recommend, if you're going to do half and half in private sittings, do the mediumistic first and then drop into the psychic parameter. Don't do the psychic first and then do the mediumistic, or just do one or the other. That's how I would say. Plus, you've got to remember, when you're working on a private sitting, there's only you in the sitter. Where when you're working in a circle, Wendy, you can have any amount of people in there, depending on, and not all of them energies are going to jive. If you can appreciate that, not all of them energies are going to, work together harmoniously. As much as the spirit world will try to harmonize that circle, it is not always possible, because free will is at play there. As much as they're intelligent and as much as they're clever, the human can still do interesting things. I've got to be honest with you on that one. So I hope that answers your question a little bit for you, Wendy. Tessa saying perfect. Not a problem, darling. Not a problem at all. Misty Honey saying, do you think everyone can connect to spirit, mediumship, or are there some people only connect on a psychic level? I've talked about this quite a lot, Misty Honey, and this isn't to offend anybody or upset anybody. I believe that everybody has that mediumistic ability. It's a born right. It's a given. what we don't talk about is the fact that not everybody is what I call a message bearer. So I'm a message bearer. I give communications from a rostrum, as lots of other mediums across the world do. It doesn't make me any different. What we have to understand is under this mediumistic ability, or underneath this mediumistic umbrella, as I call it, there's many different aspects. So you've got philosophy, you've got the message bearer, which is the person who does communications. You've got spirit art, you've got trance, you've got the psychic parameter, you've got teaching, you've got animal communications, you've got all sorts. I mean, they're just to name a few. Do you know what I mean? And what everybody gets caught up with, Misty Honey, is communications. Or, you know, I only want to do communications. I don't want to do anything else. And what you don't realize is that medium, and that's what I love about mediumship. Mediumship isn't just one said thing. It's got millions of different things in it. If you can appreciate that. And lots of people only get caught up in doing communications. But what they don't realise is they're an absolute amazing philosopher or healer. And we need all of them people. We need them just as much as we need the communications. But because communications have got such a hype, and there's money to be made from it, and there's this to be made from it, and there's that, and there's the status and the status that comes with communications. Everybody's like, well, I want to do that. Do you know what I mean? Instead of thinking about maybe being a healer, or you'd even hear of a spiritual philosopher, you know, making thousands of pounds. Do you know what I mean? So people go more for that than they do for that. And sometimes people, it's not that you go off your path, and it's not that you can't do communications, but it might not be the thing that you're the best at. Everybody is good at something. All of us. We're all good at everything and something, but we all have a said path or a said journey for the spirit world. And some people will do that journey and, you know, very, very well. Other people will need to change paths, and may not change paths, but they will maybe do in one journey and then maybe need to look at something else within that journey. For me, yes, I do believe everybody's got a mediumistic ability, but in what context is that mediumistic ability? That's the biggest question you need to be asking. Psychic work, everybody's a psychic, and that even floats straight down just into intuition. And I talk about this all the time. And I think I've just said before, we're all reading energy every day. It's just you don't know it, if this makes sense, or you haven't consciously become aware that you're reading energy. The easiest way to probably put this to people is you walk into a room and there's been an argument, and you know there's been an argument, but there's no argument going on. That's the simplest of just reading energy. That's that simple. That's energy read in every context. That's your intuition. That's you reading a room, which is a psychic ability. You know, and I think everybody also has that intuition. We're all given that connection, you know, in order to be able to, you know, navigate the world as it is. So for me, mediumistic ability, yes. But in what context? That is the biggest question. And I see lots of mediums get very frustrated because they're trying to do what I call mediumistic development. So that's communications. Then I get them in. So then I get them into like doing trance, and they just take to it like a duck to water. It's like, and even though it sits within their mediumistic abilities and it sits within them clear ranges and all the rest of it, but it's not communications out in the public, if you can appreciate that. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Susie's saying she's new here. Hi, Susie. I hope you're well. Irene's saying we're all good. Thanks, Danielle. Lovely to see you. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Timothy. Hello, Timothy, darling. While working the other day, night alone, yes, I had a very bright white light flash over my head. It definitely wasn't from a light source. I told my guides, or angels, I heard them. Happened to you? So you're talking about orbs, Timothy? Yes. So I was in class a couple of weeks ago, and I think I've talked about this before. Sometimes when I'm demonstrating on rostrums, or if I'm doing private sittings, you'll see a lot of orbs floating around me. And a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting in class. I was on it with the mentorship girls, fellas, and there was like one. It was amazing. I mean, I see them from time to time, but this one was, I think I've talked about this the other week. It was like, you know, Superman, the old Superman films. and they put them three people into like that diamond thing. God, I'm showing my age here. And it like flies off into space, right? It was like that, but it was like right there. And when it was dipping, it was like right in my face. It was like, and I could see the man's face. It was like, it was as if like it was like a holograph. It was amazing, honestly. Probably one of the best ones I've seen to date. But yeah, if you watch me demonstrate, you'll probably see a lot of that. That goes on quite a lot. I've seen it with other mediums. I'm not saying I'm the only medium that happens to. I'm not saying that at all. But yes, yeah, that's nothing. It's just what I would call a build-up of energy. It's where the energy's starting to manifest state through the levels of awareness of consciousness, through sitting for the spirit world, or where you've been working for them. So I hope that, yeah, can you remember that, Misty? Yeah. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, Timothy. That's spot on. Don't worry about that. If anything, it's just a manifestation of the energy, which is then being transmitted into the spirit world, or where the spirit world has manifested energy in order for you to be able to see it. You should think yourself lucky. Lots of people don't get to see them things at all, so class it as a privilege, Timothy. So I hope that answers your question a little bit for you there, darling. Wendy's saying, thank you for your insight. Not a problem. Ma saying, hello, Ma. I hope you're well. So where does you were talking recently about changing guides. I've just had a new one. Does this happen often? I think I've talked about this quite a lot. You know, I mean, guides is a big passion of mine. I've got to be honest. And I've done a lot of work with guides in the spirit. Well, many different types of guides. I've got to be honest. And for me, yes, you know, it does happen. It does happen very often. Some people have the same guides forever, and there's nothing wrong with that neither, more. You know what I mean? Other people will change them every couple of months, depending on what they want to do. It depends on your progression. It depends on, you know, how far you're prepared to push your mind. It depends on the people that you've already got within your team. You know, what kind of knowledge do they have? Also can have an impact on, you know, does the guy that's been working with you maybe want to go away and look at other things? Because you've got to remember, they're all learning and growing and progressing as well, even in the teams that they're working in, or your team that they're working in. And they could be watching other things in the spirit world and thinking, oh, I would like to participate more here, or I'd like to look more at that. And you guys will come and go. It's a bit like down here with friends. Some people come in, they'll stay a lifetime. Other people will come in for a couple of months and then go back out. Some people will come in order to teach you something and then leave and move on to the next thing. Don't worry about it. My answer to you is all, and it always is the same. Learn to go with the flow. The more you can go with the flow, the better it'll be for you, because ultimately, excuse me, the more your mind is less restrictive, the more you're going to get from that new guide, the more you're going to allow, and the more your development's probably going to progress. Normally when a new guide shows up, there's a level of awareness, or a new level of awareness coming in. So, or there's something new you're going to learn, or there's something else you're going to be taught, which is amazing. And I say this, and I've said this before, when you get a dip in your mediumship, time to get excited, folks, because you just know things is going to be getting excited. So I always say that to my students, when your mediumship takes a bit of a dip, get excited, because there's new things coming and things is going to start rocking and rolling. And most mediums, this is when most mediums will panic. My answer is, don't panic, because you should be getting excited, not fearing it, because there's big things coming. And I say that all the time, and then a couple of months later I see them students in a completely different space with brand new experiences going on, and a bigger awareness and a level of development with them. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Susie C says, so where does clairaudience fall in? So what do you mean by that, clairaudience? So what do you mean? Clairaudience, now, you see, for me, I work with the database, and I do a class on the database, and this was a set of mechanics that was given to me. A lot of people say that they hear the spirit world in their own voice, which with my database, that would be true, right, and accurate, definitely, because ultimately the database is part of you. So it's part of the intellectual logical of you, which is your spiritual intelligence versus the spiritual intelligence within the spirit world. For me, and I got to be honest with you, Susie, this clairaudience, clairvoyance, and all of this, for me, I think it's terminology. And I think a lot of you have probably heard me talk about this. I'm not a big fan of labeling. let's put this here, let's put that there, you know, rah, rah, rah. Instead of just saying I can see the spirit world, or I can hear the spirit world, or I feel the spirit world, or I know the spirit world's there. I think sometimes, you know, for psychic, it doesn't seem like medium psychic. It doesn't, no, psychic's nothing like mediumship, Susie. So for me, I'm not a big fan of labeling, and I think sometimes when we label, you know, clairaudience and clairvoyancy and clairsentience and all this type of thing, people like start looking for them things and start to like want to like find them instead of just allowing, I can see the spirit world, I know the spirit world's there, I feel the spirit world's there, you know, them types of things. It makes things, because what happens is we then get into this habit of going, well, I'm a clairvoyant medium, or I'm a clairaudience medium, or I'm this. I like to say I'm a multifaceted medium with many different, you know, multifaceted tones to me, with multifaceted awarenesses, because I need them multifaceted for the spirit world. So for me, clairaudience, so really with the database, and when I talk about, people say to me, well, I hear the spirit world in my own voice, Danielle. I'm like, yes, so you should be. You know what I mean? Like, you should be. I see images, Danielle, that look like my own images. Yes, you should be, because it's part of the database. The spirit world's touching upon them memories within your mind in order so that you will accept them and give them. And lots of mediums are like, well, I'm making it up. You're not making it up. It's just the way they're using the database and the symbols and everything else that you've got in here in order to give a communication, you know, in order so that you can give off what you need to give off. Honestly, that's the easiest and most simplest way the spirit world give it to me, you know. And I think we overcomplicate development. We make development so complicated, and it's a natural process. It's a natural ability within you to be able to do. So for me, I'm not a big fan of clairaudience. I would just say you can hear the spirit world. Where does it fall? It doesn't fall anywhere. It's not. I personally believe it's part of the psychic parameter. I don't really think it's got anything to do with mediumship, but that's just my viewpoint, and a lot of people will not agree with that. And I understand all of that, and I get all of that. But for me, I class it as part of the psychic ability. Me personally, you know, I'm not a big fan of using that word in regards to mediumship, but that's just me. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Misty saying, I understand. Thanks for the answer. Not a problem. She's laughing at me. I mean, Superman, it was amazing, man. I tell you, honestly, you know, when I've seen orbs and that before, but that was something else. That, man, it was just mind-blowing. I was like, yes. And because I'm on Zoom, because a lot of my training's done on Zoom because of, obviously, you know, COVID and whatnot. And plus, I train students from all over the world now. You can see, like, when you're looking at yourself, you can sort of see, like, what's going on within the Zoom room, and it was a good one, let's put it that way. And I quite like that from time to time, I've got to be honest. I think it's just the spirit world reinforcing, you know. People say to me all the time, you know, what experience and things have you had? That would be one of them, you know. They give you just them little subtle things from time to time, or just them little sort of nudges to say, well, we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere. You know what I mean? We're still knocking around. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for that, you know. And I thank them all the time for just little things, you know what I mean? Because it must take them an awful lot of energy, you know what I mean? It must take them an awful lot of pushing just to get past me and my chaotic mind from time to time. So yeah, it was a really nice thing, like, I've got to be honest. Irene saying wow, yeah, it was actually one of them like aha wow, like light bulb moments. It was very nice actually. I do love the spirit world for that. Tessa's saying, I saw a black cat in my kitchen the other day. Yeah, it walked past the chair, yeah, and disappeared. It's more likely to be psychometry more than the spirit. So psychometry, do you know what psychometry is, Tess? So psychometry is where we get here's a bracelet. I took it off the other day because the cat just broke and I need to go to the jewelers. So this bracelet here is a family. It belongs to one of my family members in the spirit world. So this bracelet here, I could give it to one of yous, and you would be able to put it in your hand, and you would be able to read it and be able to tell me all about the person. I would say the black cat that you've seen, so that would be, what you would have to do is put this in your hand in psychometry, move your mind to the spirit world and ask the spirit world, who does the bracelet that Danielle has in her hand belong to, and somebody would come forward. That's psychometry. Or what you could do is you could actually link to it on a psychic level and then be able to start reading it. So I feel it belonged to a woman, and I feel that this woman was an older woman. You know, like that's psychometry, basically. What you're talking to me about, just excuse me while I blow my nose. What you're talking to me about, psychometry as in reading the room. No, psychometry is not reading the room. Psychometry is reading an object, picture. That's what psychometry is. Psychometry is not reading a room. Psychometry is reading an object. So pictures. So here's a picture. I mean, Nana, you would link into the picture and you would tell me all about this lady. That's psychometry. Psychometry is where objects are involved in it. That's what psychometry is. Excuse me. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there. But going back to, you saw a black cat. I would say your mind was already in the spirit world. For me, that's what that would tell me. Your mind is already in the spirit world. And you were able to see that. And now, I can't take credit for this. Another medium told me this, so I'll always give credit where credit's due. Sometimes when we see cats in this world, but they're actually in the spirit world, it's what we call external clairvoyance. Now again, it's the label. So what I'm really saying to you is there's a lot of people who say the spirit world inside of their mind. Other people like myself see the spirit world as in outside. So I see them as if they are walking this world. That's how I see them. I do see them in my mind from time to time, but the majority of my time I see them with my own eyes. So what that would probably tell me is, Tess, is that your mind was already in the spirit world. You've seen the black cat with your own eyes instead of within your mind. That's all it is. So the psychometry is reading objects, not reading a room. Not as far as I'm aware. How? I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but the last time I remember it was, reading objects. So I hope it answers your question a little bit there for you. Hello, glad to catch you live again. Hello, Silver. I hope you're well. Denise is saying, I met one of my spirit guides that said we were together in a past life, but chose not to be reincarnated with me. Instead, have you heard of this? I have heard it. I've heard it. How much do I believe it? No. I didn't. It could be true. I'm not trying to say that it's right and wrong. Do I believe it? No. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's not right. I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent. All I'm saying is that I don't agree with that type of stuff. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that the guide's telling you. I'll say to you, gamble what the guides say. I always say that to my students, and I'm going to say that to you and all. But if you would ask me on my personal opinion, I don't agree. I don't really agree with that. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm just saying it's not something that I agree with. So I hope it answers your question a little bit there for you, Denise. But I have heard a lot of that, and I see a lot of that going on, and I just leave it. I just put that over there and just don't look at it. So then I don't get myself upset. But that's just another story. Anyway. Psychic. So Susie's saying psychic. It doesn't seem like mediumistic. Yeah. Thumbs down to the labels. Yeah. Tessa's saying, I find it hard to remember details of readings that I've done a few hours after reading. Is that normal? Yeah. Tess, once I've done a private sitting, it leaves my mind and I can never go back to it. And you can't go back to it. And I'll tell you why, because you're in a totally different space and time to the place and time in which that you did that reading. So that's why you can't remember. Plus, it's come through a communicator. So once the communicator's left your mind, all that information goes back with the communicator. So therefore, there's nothing to link into. It would just be maybe bits and pieces in your memory bank. And even then, you will have some interference there, ultimately, because you are getting involved in that communication, and so you would then put your spin on it, because there would be no communicator there to be able to give you additional information. So yeah, that happens to me all the time, Tess. that's normal. In fact, very normal. So I hope that answers to you. I hope that answers your question for you a little bit. Irene saying, sorry, gotta go now, but lovely seeing you, Danielle. Yeah, you too, my darling. See you. Bye for now. Tessa saying, thanks for clearing that up. I have just walked in to get something and spotted the cat. I wasn't looking for it. I was in a rush. Yeah, but probably your mind's probably been in the spirit world, or you've been doing bits and pieces, you know, thinking about the spirit world, whatever, which is then give you that link for them. So honestly, didn't worry about it. I see the spirit world quite a bit like that. I've been seeing them like that for years. I've got to be honest. It's nothing new to me, that one. But like I say, another medium did give me the proper terminology for it. And like I say, I'll always give credit where credit's due. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. Silver saying, do you ask specific questions of the spirit? Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. I have never, ever, 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 ever done that in my communications, and I've been doing communications now for around about 8 years. I don't ask questions. I don't, you know, get into the who's, what's, ifs, and whys. I sort of let the spirit world do their thing. Like, I've got to be honest with you on that one, like Silver. This is where the terminology of freestyle or freestyling mediumship come from. I'm very excited because we're about to have them trademark. I've just applied for them. So I'm very excited for that. It's going to take a couple of weeks for that to come back, which is the name of this book. I don't know if let's have a look. So this is my second book. Third book is due out this year. And the title has been copyrighted. Well, not copyrighted, trademarked. So I'm very excited about that. I did that last week actually. So yeah. So no, nah, I don't do any of that. The only thing the only thing that I get when I first start doing my communications is I've got dad here, or I'll hear dad, or I'll hear mom, or I'll hear this, and I just go, I've got somebody's dad with me, or I've got somebody's mom with me. The rest of it is left up to the spirit world. I don't get involved in the communications. The only maybe time I'd ask one question, and even then I didn't have to ask questions, because 9 times out of 10, if I've sort of not quite got that information right in my mind, the spirit world's already there backing me with another bit, if you can appreciate that. So I'll know as I'm giving it to the person who's sitting in front of us, I'm thinking, that's not right, that Daniel, you're going to get a no back there. They're already there with another bit to sort of back me up. So I'll say it, and I know the sitter gives me a no, I'll go, right, can you understand if I put that and that together, and re-give it to you? They're like, yeah, now I get what you're talking about. So I never, ever, ever ask questions. I know a lot of mediums train that way. I know a lot of mediums do it that way. You're getting involved as far as I'm concerned. And for me, it can make life really, really complicated, because the more for me, the more questions you're asking, and this is just my thoughts and feelings here, right? So the more questions you ask, the more likely you are to push the spirit world back, especially if you sort of get into what I call the checklist. So it's like, what's your name, what's your age, where do you come from, rah, rah, rah. And a lot of people train that way, and I'm not disputing that, and I did it myself, so I understand it, and I get all of this. I do get where people are coming from. But ultimately what happens is you are then not listening to the spirit world. I tell my students this all the time. You're not listening, and if you're not listening, you're going to eventually push the spirit world back, which means you then jump out onto a psychic link, because the spirit world's going to step back. They'll be like, well, what's the point in talking to you? Because you're not listening to a goddamn word I say. Do you know what I mean? So I always try to get my students to trust in the spirit world and to allow that communication to just flow. But I understand there's many different styles and techniques out there, and I never say there's bad training, no good training. I never, ever, ever say that, ever. All I ever say is there's training you want and training you don't want. You need to sometimes see the other side of the coin, so then you appreciate the stuff that you get, and vice versa. Sometimes you need to look at the other stuff to then go away and look at other stuff to appreciate that maybe that's not for you. So for me, I never, ever ask questions like, Tess, I've got to be honest. It's not my style, you know what I mean? I have done it, and I understand it, and I need to understand that in order to share knowledge. But is it something that I do now? No, definitely not. I haven't done that for years and years and years. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Silver. When I ask direct, I seem to go into my mind. Yeah, that's exactly what goes on. Start asking questions and you're getting involved. Your mind, your conscious mind, is going to start getting in the way, and it's going to start add on. So then I do a class on add on of the medium. So the medium gets involved and starts adding on to the information. It then changes the dynamics of the piece of information that's been given to you from the spirit world, which then 9 times out of 10 gets you a no, I gotta be honest, which then makes the medium, the confidence drops, which then the fear kicks in, and then they pull out, and that's something I say go on an awful lot. I do a brand new class which is called the 3 steps, which was given to me, inspired to me by the spirit world. I mean, all my classes are designed by the spirit world and me. I don't know, it's just the way I do it, I've got to be honest. It's just the way I do it to just like inspire my mind with different classes. Yeah, that's a one that will very much help you with asking non-direct questions. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. More saying, I did some informative mentoring during lockdown with a very small circle of people. I would find it quite upsetting when people suddenly dropped out. Does this bother you? Nah. I appreciate it. I think as you start to move along the path, you got to appreciate that, especially people who share knowledge and all that type of thing. I appreciate that people's got to go away and do what they need to do. Now, if you talked to me maybe 3 years ago, Mark, I'd have probably took that as quite a personal attack. Now I appreciate that people's got to go away and do what they need to do. I appreciate that people's got to go away and live their life. I appreciate that people's got to, for whatever reasons, do whatever it is that they've got to do. Because what you got to understand is you didn't know where people are. You didn't know where people's minds are. You didn't. I love the 3 steps. It's an amazing class. It's one of my all-time favorites. Like I've got some favorites, but that one there, it's mind-blowing. That 3 steps, like honestly, I don't know where it gets them from sometimes, my fella. Like I didn't, I gotta be honest. Like but yeah, it is an amazing class. It just romps home. Honestly, it does. But that's just, I'm proud of that class, as you can probably tell, and it gets me them mediums the way I want them to be, and it's an amazing class. But going back to more, you got to appreciate, and this is something I talk about quite a lot, and this is something that I don't always see a lot of, and something that I work into my classes and all, which is the personal development. As we start to move along that journey as the spiritualist, not as a medium, as a spiritual. Lots of mediums out there. Everybody's a medium. You want to be you want to be trying for being a spiritual person. That's what you need to be looking for. All right, and what you'll find is as you move along that journey, you appreciate what people have to do what they need to do, and you're not to get involved in that. That's they need to go and do away and do what they need to do for their own peace of mind. They pull out. There'll be a genuinely good reason why they've pulled out. People, it's not for them. The class maybe isn't developing them the way they want to develop. Money might be an issue, family, and some people, for whatever reasons, do. But does it bother me? Nah. Now, if you'd spoke to me 3 years ago, mind, that might have been a different story. I appreciate that everybody has to go away and do what they need to do. And I understand that it's really none of my business as to why they need to go wherever they need to go and do whatever it is that they need to do, because that's their life and that's their lane and this is my lane. And I trust in the spirit world. If students need to leave for whatever reasons, or students need to do whatever they need to do for whatever reasons also, I know that the spirit world will replace them students, which they do every time and more. So I trust in the process. This is probably something else, and I trust in the process. I trust in them. You know what I mean? If they can design me classes and courses and inspire my mind to do the mechanics and build me mechanics that or the mechanics that's in that book isn't even out there. I'm the only one training them mechanics. Then I trust in them that they're going to bring the right people, and then other people have to leave for whatever reasons, because that's the way it's meant to be. It's not my job to get involved in the consciousness. It's my arrogance if I think that I know better than the divine plan. So the best thing to do is learn to work within the divine plan, learn to work within the conscious parameters of the consciousness that we work with. So I hope that answers your question there for you there, Mo. Timothy says he bought my book last week. Great. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know how you get on with that, won't ya? How is it that you can meet certain people and their whole life story comes through, and other people you draw a blank? Again, it's about recognizing. I talk about this quite a lot. You've got to learn to adapt. With mediumship, it's important that you adapt. You know, when we get into the parameters of mediums who, you know, ask a lot of questions, you're going to keep repeating that format, if this makes sense. You're going to keep doing that with every communication that you do. And some communicators will quite happily do that and all the rest of it. But then you draw a blank with them that don't really like being questioned. What you have to understand here with communications is that when the spirit world comes forward to do communications, their personality comes straight in. And this is something that I say an awful lot. And again, this is something I train in my rooms. The amount of mediums that go to us, communicate and go, what's your name? But never once say to them, hi, you know what I mean? I bled this into my mediumship very early on. Hi, my name's Danielle. How can I help you? That's what I say to a communicator before I even get in to what they're doing there. And what I say to them is, how can I help you? Which, what I'm saying to them is here's my mind. Go for it. And there's just this lack of use of common courtesy, if you can appreciate that. And what you have to understand when you're doing this sort of that formatted style, as I call it, you're going to get certain communicators who come forward who don't like being questioned. I'm one of them women. I'm not a great fan of people questioning the life, like where have you been, what you doing, who you going with, what time you're gonna be home. I find that quite rude. You know what I mean? So when I come through the spirit world to my daughters, I'm hoping that the medium's mind that I use allows me to be me and allows me to be able to talk about the things that I want to talk about. And for me, that's probably where you have to appreciate and adapt for your mediumship. You have to have many different styles in there in order to be able to look at many different complex individuals, because there is individuals up there where when they hit your mind, their personality clicks into place. Everything that was available to them here to the earth is available to you right there in that second. If they were a person that didn't like being questioned and you're questioning them within an inch of their life, they're going to go, hey, look, I'm not talking to you. What the hell do I want to talk to you for? You know what I mean? Where if you say to them, well, can I help you? What's going on today? You know, you got to find the right use of terminology with the spirit world. You got to learn. As much as we're working with energy here, and I say this all the time to people, you've also got to look at the way in which that you're approaching them. You've got to look at the way in which you're speaking to them. You've got to. Why on earth would any communicator want to assist you if you're mean to them? Would you help somebody if they were mean to you? No, you wouldn't. And this is where mediums get caught out. This is where mediums don't recognize that by just being common courtesy nice to the spirit world, guess what? The spirit world's going to be a lot nicer to you, because they're going to want to help you. You know what I mean? And so it's important that you recognize that what I call communication style, adaptation of your communication, learning to have many different communicational aspects to you, and maybe wearing masks may be a better terminology. You know, you need to be wearing a few different masks when you're working for the spirit world to be able to accommodate for every different communication that may come through. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Timothy. And that really is big food for thought for people. And I think when we start looking at the spirit world like that with a bit more understanding and awareness and that little bit more respect and common courtesy, you'll find things really pick up for you. I know lots of mediums, and I did this. They're going in and they're shooting and they're screaming. Like, what's wrong? Why is this happening? Instead of going in and going, could we have a meeting? Could we come together and discuss the problems and issues I have with my development? Versus, what's going on up here? Why is this happening? Can you imagine the kind of response? Because you have to understand, them guides don't have to do anything. And neither does the spirit world. And this is where people don't always recognize that you are the server for the spirit world. You are an ambassador for the spirit world. You work for them. They are not at your beck and call. You're at their beck and call. And that's the bit you've got to recognize, and that's the bit you've got to be aware, and that's the bit you've got to understand with the spirit world. The spirit world always want to talk, I guarantee you of that. And they are available 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. But the way in which that you approach them, and the way in which that you talk to them, and the way in which that you do things will ultimately depend on the answers in which that you get back. And it's the same with your communications. And I've been banging on about that now for a little while, not only here but also in my classroom as well. So I hope it definitely helps your question there a little bit, Timothy. Silver saying thanks. I don't like asking questions. Nah, didn't get into that if you can help it. But people comment my readings aren't fast enough. Then what you have to understand is that just because your readings aren't fast enough, all you have to say to the spirit world is can we quicken the evidence up a little bit? You go in and you chat with them and you say to them, yeah, that's it, you got it, Silver, that's exactly right. It's gonna get you a better style, where if you're going in there and just like, hoying stuff at them, you might have the little old lady at the back who's somebody's mum who was a very shy woman, and you're bombarding her with 50 billion questions. Can you imagine? That woman's going to be absolutely terrified, because what people don't recognise, or mediums don't recognise, is that they're human. As soon as they come forward, even though they're not in that physical body, that personality comes available to them straight away. So, but if people are saying your work's not quick enough, then sit down with your team, have a chat with the spirit world, and say, right, could we discuss, how we can maybe quicken the work up a little bit? Is there another style of techniques that we could maybe work with? How can we improve this? They'll then bring that to the forefront for you. This is what people don't recognise. I talk about this now. Spirit training. I'm spirit trained. There's only 2 residential courses in it. One I wasn't that keen on. The other one taught me an awful lot about me as an individual. I did one workshop which I wasn't that happy with neither, and that's it. There is no other human aspect of training in me. Every element of my training is spirit. And I say to people about this time and time again, you are privileged if you can get working with the spirit world and developing with the spirit world in every capacity. The knowledge that is over there is unbelievable. It's unique to you. It's available to you if you're prepared to put the graft in. And a lot of years, human training, I've got no problem with it. I do it myself. I don't dispute it. But there's nothing quite beats that spiritual development as well. You should really be doing both. And I'm a big advocate for sitting for the spirit world, learning to build that relationship with your team, because without it, you're gonna struggle massively. So I hope that helps you out there a little bit. Have you ever tried automatic writing? Yes, Vicky, I have. Or is that how you get your classes from the spirit world? No, my classes come in a very different way, I've got to be honest. And that's something that I've been doing with the spirit world now for about two and a half years. No, it comes in a different way. I do automatic writing, and I have done automatic writing, and I understand it, and I've done some of it with regards to trance, when I've been in trance-like states. I've done like writing for them, like philosophy and stuff like that. I'm always trying something, you know what I mean, Vicky, with them. I'm always experimenting with them, which I think they probably like a lot, to be fair, because I'm like an instrument's like, yeah, we'll give out a gun, you know what I mean? Let's go for it. Let's try this. Let's try that. I'll have a gun out there, you know what I mean? That's probably why they like me so much, because I'm up for out. But yeah, my classes don't come in that way, no. But automatic writing have I done? Yes. I've done bits and pieces of it on and off over the years. I don't mind it. I understand it and I get it. Is it something I do on a regular basis? No, but I do understand it and I get it. So yes is the answer to your question. Marcin, thanks very much. I'm grateful for your response. Not a problem at all. And Silver saying, I love that. How can I help? Yeah, it's about learning to find another set of terminologies, looking at another way in which that you can develop your information, or how you can get your information from the spirit world. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you. I'm a mouthful of this water, and I'll just wait to see if there's any more questions. Thank you very much. If you could give this video a like up, it certainly does help with the YouTube algorithm. If you can share it with your friends in groups and stuff like that, it really does help as well. So yes, if there's any other questions, we'll have a mouthful of this water. If you haven't already seen the Oddbod School of Mediumship email or website running along the banner, certainly check that one out. Certainly do follow us on the social media platforms, the other ones, because I do live streams on Facebook. There's a one coming up. Let me just have a look here. I've got my diary in front of us. Next Thursday, actually. So if you're not with the Facebook page, certainly get involved in that. So you can certainly come along and watch me and talk to me there. Silver's saying, thanks very much. No problem. Not a problem at all. Yes, I'm guilty of not sitting with my team. Did the personal power of mediumship scare you at first? It's such a big responsibility. Do you want my honest opinion? Silver? Not a problem, Timothy. Not a problem at all. Do you know, I didn't think that much about it, to be fair. I didn't. I already come from an arena where professionalism was a big thing. You know, running teams of people, working with safeguarding, all of that type of thing. It come with my previous job. So I understood that professional side of it. I understand working with clients, understand business, I understand all of them types of things. So when I started doing mediumship, it was just, instead of healing the sick, I now bring the people who have passed over to them here. So so in one capacity, I watch people lose their loved ones. Now I bring their loved ones from the spirit world. So it's just like a bit of a change in dynamics in that capacity. Do I have the stress that goes with that job and this job? Yes. Would I say this job's more stressful? At times, yeah, massively. But is that because of the spirit world? No. That's because of other things that go on. But do I love the job? Well, it's not even a job, it's a passion. It's a passion for me. But was I scared? No. Do you know, right? Do you know, Silver, ain't a lot that really scares me, to be fair. Like, I gotta be honest, it doesn't. Like, I'm a bit of a, I don't know, like, there's not much spooks me. I think that's probably all the life experiences I've had. I've been in some very interesting situations throughout my life, and I don't really worry. The only thing that probably, and this is something that probably, if you'd have spoke me 3 years ago, I was very bothered about what people think. Now I don't care. I don't care in any capacity. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they say it. I don't care what they've got to say about me, because I understand me. But if you spoke me 3 years ago, that probably bothered me massively. Now I just don't. I could swear on here, but I won't, because YouTube will then demonetize me, and then that'll be an end of that. I really don't care. I don't care in any capacity, and I think that's a growth in my development, I've got to be honest. Do I class it as a responsibility? Yes, but the spirit world's always got my back. Does that make sense? They always taking good care of me, and they're always watching over me. I do my work with the best of integrity, always. I do not do something just for the hell of it. I don't do it because I want to make money or out like that. I do it because I genuinely want to see the next generation of mediums. I genuinely want to see a new way of development. I mean, I was in a church in Canada last week. Wherever I kind of always want to see a new opportunity to bring less fear around mediumship and mediumship development, and more awareness and education. I think education is massive now, with regards to development. We need the development, and that's great, but I think we need to start educating not only the mediums but the general public as well. How hard of a job that will be? Monstrous, I would say, monstrous, because there's so many different complexes and so many different opinions and terminologies. In order to get everybody on the same page, that could take a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? And even then, I'm not sure it would always match with everybody, and that's okay. There's no problem with that. But for me, yeah, it is a big responsibility, but I do my work always with the best of heart, and I never can fall wrong in that capacity. Like, I've got to be honest, ever. And some people might say, well, but I don't really care, to be fair, what they say. I didn't care what they say. They don't know me. They don't know the life I live, and they're not sitting in my inner circle, really, to be fair, to be able to pass judgment. And like I say, if you pass judgment on me, you're really passing judgment on yourself, because you can't recognise judgment unless it's within you. So that's how I look at that one. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Silver. Sarah's in. Hello, Sarah. I hope you're well. I certainly am, my darling. I really am. I'm really, really, really well. I hope you're well down there in Bonnie, Scotland, and I hope you're keeping okay. So any other questions? While I wait for you lot, I don't think I've missed any. I think I've more or less covered everybody, I think. Put that book back under the, out my way. Fashionably late. Definitely Bailey, where have you been? Are you alright? I'll see you Sunday. Louise is in and all. Hello Louise, you helped me out with my students last night. Humbly grateful to you. Big loves to you. I hope you're well and your family's keeping okay as well. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? I know some of you are fashionably late, as Bailey Boy says. I'm looking forward to Sunday, like, I cannot wait. It's going to be amazing, that class. Great readings last night for my students. I am immensely proud of them students in there last night. I'm proud of all my students, actually. You know, they're better than me. And that's always my ultimate goal for any student I take, that you are better than me. I'm not interested in you just being as good as me. I want my students to be better than me, always. I knew someone was pregnant for 2 weeks before then. Okay, so that's a psychic parameter, Sarah. But thank you, Louise, for your generous feedback. And thank you very much for, you know, just coming in and supporting the students in that room. But honestly, man, they're romping home. I'm immensely proud of them all. I am, I've got to be honest. Sunday, I know, I cannot wait. I'm like, come on. It's heaving, that class, and now it's amazingly busy. I'm massively grateful to the US lot, I've got to be honest. Massively. I could have done without them, so yeah. I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be epic. Epic, epic, epic. It's really going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to probably leave this one here for tonight. I only do about an hour and a bit on here these days. Thanks, lovely. Have a great day. I will, Silver. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do like this video, so you do share it with your friends. Tell people about the channel, because it really does help with the growth. There'll never, ever, ever, ever be videos or ads on this channel. It's not, that channel was never built for advertisement or anything like that. It was here to help and help alone. We're massively grateful to you. I know. Yous are a good bunch. I've got to be honest, like I say, but it's busy and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to knock off. I've got some, behind the back of me, the screen's just lighting up. It's like push, push, push. So I'm kind of going to wait and sort all of this out. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure. I'll get the next one for YouTube. Come over to Facebook is on the 20th, and then YouTube's the 27th. All right, so it's a fortnight today. All right, have a great evening, a great day wherever you are in the world. Big kisses from me, my team, and the spirit world. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.